I strongly believe that almost most of the use cases that you hear in the media, they are not good blockchain use cases. See, I have been working in the blockchain industry since 2015 and I have built a lot of blockchain solutions, but I will be very honest to tell you, I see the application of blockchain only in asset management lifecycle cases. So whether you're talking about money, you're talking about banking transactions, you're talking about letter of credit, anything which involves smart asset lifecycle transactions. Even equity shares being traded, bonds, debentures, makes sense. But the moment we try to put data authentication kind of use cases, the blockchain is not effective.
Similar to the PCs or internet, blockchain possesses transformative power to individuals and organizations, enabling them to achieve step function improvement in productivity. Dozens of companies are investing heavily in blockchain, often pursuing real-world application of blockchain to multi-trillion-dollar industries boosted by the leadership from blue-chip technologies and financial companies such as IBM, Microsoft, Bank of America, and Barclays. This signal is gaining attention from other business leaders across multiple verticals. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, our guest will be Mr. Rohas Nagpal sir, who is here with us. In a sentence, he can be described as an author, amateur boxer, blockchain architect, Tintinologist, and a retired hacker. In 1999, he co founded Asian School of Cyber Laws and moved into the super exciting field of cyber laws and cybercrime investigation. He has had the privilege of assisting the Government of India in framing draft rule and regulation under the Information Technology Act. In the year 2016, he co-founded PrimeChain Technologies Private Limited, a blockchain startup with the mission of building blockchain for a better world. So, first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure too. So, moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is blockchain beyond crypto, transforming fintech, healthcare, and more. The disruption caused by the COVID-19 struck organizations at all levels, accelerating the need for the digitalization down the supply chain. Supply chain data is now always visible, available, or trusted. By moving from the spreadsheet and emails to permission blockchain solution, organization can mainstream strong data quality and integrity during their transformation. So my very first question to you is, or rather it's a kind of request to you, sir, please explain our viewers why is blockchain a trusted approach?
Okay. So when we talk about blockchain and the concept of trust, what we are trying to say is that you don't need to trust individuals or entities anymore. You can trust the technology. Now, when we look at the past, when we talk about databases, all databases are held by some organization and the data is controlled by them. So a third party may not be able to trust you. Now, where blockchain came in, it brought the concept of distributing this data across multiple nodes. And no single party is controlling all the nodes so that everybody can trust the data that they see on it. So, a classic example is obviously Bitcoin blockchain, which was the first in the world. And what that uses is a method called proof of work, under which different people, anybody could become a miner, and they are responsible for validating the transactions by running certain mathematical formulae. Now, when we look at that kind of a scenario, it was the first time in the world that you could trust the technology and not need to trust the individuals. But I will be very honest, when we try to apply this technology to other areas, it doesn't always work in the same way. So, like, although supply chain is considered a good example, but what if the data which is being put into the blockchain is wrong? The blockchain can do nothing. The
Yes,
blockchain will just accept the data and show it to you. So
correct.
let's say I am a customer, I go to the store and I buy some food. And then I scan the QR code, and from the blockchain, it picks up data and shows me where all the food has traveled. So, sort of showing me the supply chain. But how do I know whether it is genuine data? So it could be fake data or incorrect data which has put in. So the blockchain actually will not help in this scenario if the data is not authentic. So we must always remember that. I hope
Indeed.
that answers your question.
Yes, sir, you have done. So can we consider that there are some sectors where previous one Impala, Hive, and MySQL databases are better than this blockchain technology?
Yeah, I strongly believe that almost most of the use cases that you hear in the media, they are not good blockchain use cases. See, I have been working in the blockchain industry since 2015 and I
Yes.
have built a lot of blockchain solutions, but I will be very honest to tell you, I see the application of blockchain only in asset management lifecycle cases. So whether you're talking about money, you're talking about banking transactions, you're talking about letter of credit, anything which involves smart asset lifecycle transaction, even equity shares being traded, bonds, debentures, makes sense. But the moment we try to put data authentication kind of use cases, the blockchain is not effective because it
Indeed.
is not a technology designed to handle so much data. It doesn't really add any benefits to them.
Indeed. Sir, my next question to you is, as you have mentioned, my question to you is it possible to modify the data once it is written in a block? And also, is it possible in blockchain to remove one or more block from the network?
Okay. Well, it is difficult, but it is possible. So
Okay.
that is another very important thing. Many people just say blockchain is unhackable. I
Hmm.
will be honest, there is no technology is made by humans. It can be hacked also by humans. So yes, it is possible to hack a blockchain. It is possible to remove blocks. It is possible to do all sorts of things, but it becomes a little more difficult. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are getting. By the way, are you married?
No.
Are you married? Okay.
No,
So
sir.
let's say you are getting married, and let's say in
Okay.
future when you get married,
Okay.
you will take a photo and put it on Instagram.
Yes.
Now suppose that photo is the proof that you have got married, and you have put it only on one Instagram account.
Hmm.
So somebody can always hack in and delete that. But what if everybody who is there clicks the photo and they all put it on their social media? So people are putting on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Now is it easy or difficult to delete that photo? More difficult,
Right. Yes.
correct? That
Yes.
is the difference between when we talk about blockchain. Because the data is across multiple nodes, somebody who hacks it has to hack into all the nodes at the same time. And the more the number of nodes, the more difficult it becomes to hack. I hope that
Right.
you understood
Yes.
what I'm
Yes.
trying to say.
Yes, I have understood very
So
well.
while it is possible, it is difficult to do.
Hmm. I got it, sir. Sir, my next question to you is there's one more concept of double spending. Sir, it's a kind of request to you. Please explain our viewers the meaning of what actually double spending is, and is it possible to double spend in this blockchain system?
Very good question. So what we mean by double spending is like suppose right now you have any currency note with you.
Okay.
Now, can you spend that same currency note twice?
No.
No. You
Yes.
will go to the shop and give the currency note and they will give you, let's say, biscuits in return. Now you cannot spend that anymore because it is gone. So
Yes.
similarly, now let us look at the digital world. Suppose I make a file, a word file, and in that I write, I owe Harsh 100 rupees. And I send you that word file. Now, can you download the word file and make 10 copies of it?
Yes, I can.
You can. Now you will tell me, I have 10 copies, so now you pay me 100 rupees 10 times. So
Hmm.
that is the concept why before Bitcoin there was no concept of an electronic cash because people can easily duplicate the electronic documents.
Hmm.
But when Bitcoin came in, it brought certain interesting use of technologies like cryptographic hash functions, proof of work, and asymmetric encryption and digital signatures. And using all these technologies, it made it impossible for double spending to happen. But let me be very honest, it is possible. So I will give you a classic example of the Ethereum blockchain. So you may know that many years ago, there was a very big hack on Ethereum. So somebody had created something called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. People could contribute money to that and jointly they will take decisions on what to invest the money in. Now,
Okay.
one guy found an error in that programming and he hacked the system and he stole $65 million worth of Ethereum.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
at that time, the community came together to say what to do. So they had one way where they said we can roll back the blockchain, remove all those blocks in which he has done the fraud, and start again. Now, many people objected. So, people like me also will object to something like this because you are now destroying the immutability of the blockchain. But Ethereum did it, rolled back the transaction, and all the 65 million went back to the people from whom it was stolen. And people who did not agree with this, they forked Ethereum, and from that day onwards, Ethereum actually broke into two parts. One which is called the ETC or the Ethereum Classic, and one which is called Ethereum, which is the regular one that you hear. So the original is called Classic, and the other one is now running as Ethereum, and that is what you usually hear about. But
Yes.
what is this proving to us? It proves to us that you can roll back blockchain transactions. So that also shows you one of the dangers of what can be done.
Indeed, sir. I think you have shared many multiple interesting examples, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching this session, they are surely going to find this interesting as well. So my next question to you is, how organization handle the risk management when it comes to the security, the transaction, because as you have told in your previous example, it can happen. So how organization handle these kind of risks?
Sure, that's a good question. So, from an organization's point of view, we need to look at it just like another software. So, already the organization has so many servers, they are running different kinds of software. Similarly, what is ultimately a blockchain? So, it is going to be a software which is going to run on a server. Now, that server will have its own operating system. Blockchain is not an operating system, which means you will still have a Microsoft, Linux, Ubuntu, some kind of operating system. Then you will install blockchain. Then
Yes.
you will connect that to your network. You will also connect it to your other devices. Similarly, just like you are handling the security of your conventional software, you will apply most of the same things to blockchain. There are certain differences here in the fact that you are connecting to an outside service and many other nodes are connecting. But when it enters your organization's network, consider it just like any other application that you are running. So whatever you usually follow, follow the same security parameters. And
Okay.
one thing you have to remember in blockchain is that you cannot overwrite or edit the data. Whereas in a regular blockchain database, you can do that. So you have
Yes.
to remember that once that data goes in, you cannot delete it. You can only append and later say that the past data should be ignored. But you have to be extra careful when you put data into the blockchain.
All right, sir. I think again you have explained very beautifully. So my next question to you is, actually I have seen this concept in one series called Silicon Valley, which is from the HBO, and I'm very fascinated by one thing they have shown about 51% attack. They have shown, which is I also wanted to know. So my question to you is, please explain our viewers about the 51% attack, and
Sure.
also is it possible in today's world?
Sure. So let's take an example of Bitcoin. So we are having a lot of people called miners, and let's say there are 100 of them. Now, as long as they are all honest people, we don't have to worry because all of them will try to solve the mathematical problem. And when they solve it, the block can get created and the transactions are validated. But now imagine if more than half of them get together. Now you'll wonder why we keep saying 51, why not 49%? So just like in any election, we need majority. So
Yes.
similarly here in a blockchain, now imagine 51% of the people, they or the people controlling 51% of the mining power, if
Hmm.
they become dishonest, they could actually completely end up ruining the blockchain by only allowing certain transactions to go through, neglecting other people's transactions. A lot of things can be created. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Has it happened in the past? Yes, it has happened in the past. But as a blockchain becomes more and more popular and more nodes start to come up, the chances of an attack succeeding become more difficult. Plus, we have to remember that if you successfully carry out the attack, the blockchain loses complete value and the crypto behind it can also become worthless. So, if I am having a lot of the computational power, why should I destroy my own blockchain and lose my own money? So,
Yes.
usually we hope that the miners will not do this because they will end up losing. But yes, if for whatever reason they decide to, it is possible. That is
Indeed.
why the world is now moving on to different consensus mechanisms. Proof of stake is there, proof of elapsed time, proof of history, proof of existence. So many different ones are coming, and in many of them, this kind of an attack will not happen.
Mm. I think again, sir, you have told very beautifully, and I'm actually I've got that concept, and I'm sure the viewers those who are watching this session, they are surely going to they have got this. Sir, my next question to you is what are the key principles in blockchain that are helpful in eliminating the security threats that needed to be followed?
Sure. So some of the innovations that are there is, firstly, we must remember the blockchain technology when we talk about it was not new. It is not like it was invented by the Bitcoin's creators. No, the technology has been there for decades. So from the 1970s, we have had digital signatures, asymmetric encryption, hash functions. Then from the 1990s, we have proof of work. But what Bitcoin did was it brought all these technologies together in a very innovative manner. So the security of a blockchain today is primarily because of the hash functions as well as the digital signatures. Now, if you are in India, you will realize that the Indian law allows you to use digital signatures even for your income tax returns
Yes.
or your company tax filing. That same technology is actually there inside blockchain also. And that is what gives it the security.
Okay. Sir, you have, as I was reading about your profile yesterday, and I got very fascinated. You have entered into this blockchain architecture field in the year 2015. So, sir, may I request you to please share some of your learnings and experiences with our viewers, those who are actually new into or completely want to join this. So, how they can start, how they can learn about it, or those who are actually very much interested about this.
Sure, that's a good question. So, if you want to get into this field, there are, from the technology point of view, there are two directions that you can take. So, one is you would become a blockchain developer, wherein you are going to write code. Maybe, let's say, if you're on Ethereum, you will be writing smart contracts, which will actually enable innovative things to happen. And the second you could become is a blockchain architect. That is usually what I do. A blockchain architect is somebody who would design the network, design how the different nodes should be set up. Sometimes we are even part of how the blockchain should start. So there is something called the genesis block, the first block. What all we put into that can never change later. So we need to understand the requirements of the blockchain, what it is supposed to do in the long run, and then we decide what are the non-changeable parameters and what are the runtime parameters. Then we also figure out what are the different operating systems that are going to be used to run the nodes. So then we figure out how to secure them, how to connect them. So for that, you would learn certain operating systems. So what I would recommend is become very good at Ubuntu or a few other operating systems. Learn the networking part very well. You can start to set up on cloud servers. So usually if you're just starting out, you start with something simple like DigitalOcean. But then as you get better at it, then you move on to more complex cloud systems like AWS, which is the Amazon, the Azure, IBM, and the Google Web. So these, if you know how to set up the cloud servers, that will help you a lot. And then I would recommend download some of the popular blockchain softwares. So while Ethereum is a running blockchain, the source code is open. So you can go and download it and create your own Ethereum with a new name if you want. So I would recommend try this out. So do it with a software called Multichain, do it for Ethereum and maybe even Bitcoin. Download it and try to run it on your own. That is the best way to learn the setup and architecture. And if you are going into development side, I would strongly recommend smart contract development. So go to the Ethereum website, they're having a developer section. It is very, very well created. Go step by step and you'll be able to learn quite a bit. And then try to get an internship with an existing startup and then learn practically also.
Indeed, sir. Again, you have told many important things, and I'm sure the upcoming engineers, those who are actually interested in these fields, how they can start. You have told how they can enter into this field, starting from net being trying themselves on networking part and starting with Ubuntu and Linux, and then start with DigitalOcean and then move towards Azure or IBM or AWS. And I think this is really a very wonderful and helpful answer from them as well. So thank you so much. It was a kind of healthy conversation with you over the topic also. Thank you so much. We look forward to conduct more sessions with you in future. Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold